Welcome into your news at 5 here on Fox Local. I'm Jim Lokay.
And I'm Rena Morocco. All your top stories ahead, including details on the fragile Middle East ceasefire that has diplomats scrambling to get Iran talks back on track.
Plus, what's become an ongoing headache at the reflecting pool is getting even worse after that multi-million-dollar renovation.
4 people killed in just over a day. Now investigators are trying to understand what went wrong across county roads.
And a call to action in the Commonwealth as the summer heat threatens an already record-breaking environmental trend.
And a mix of sports, culture, and celebration taking over the DMV this weekend, from the World Cup to the longest day of the year.
That is all straight ahead. Plus, with fencing up around Dupont Circle ahead of this weekend's Pride festivities, the National Park Service says it's needed for safety and security.
But those in the area think it changes the atmosphere. Fox 5's Homa Bash here to explain how. Hi, Homa.
Hey, guys. Dupont Circle is such an iconic place for the LGBTQ community. So to shut it down during Pride weekend, well, people in the neighborhood tell me it is hugely disappointing.
It's important because it's a free place. It's a public place. Right? It's not paying to go to a bar, buying an expensive dinner, paying for tickets to the movies, right? This is a free place for the neighbors to get together and enjoy each other's company. And now we don't get to have that.
The Interior Department telling Fox 5 the closure is necessary to protect the community and the park, trying to curb vandalism and violence this Pride weekend. We saw a lot of back and forth last year during World Pride when officials initially announced they would shut down Dupont. Then they walked it back, let it stay open. A couple of violent acts occurred in the park and nearby, but it has never been clarified if those were related to Pride itself. However, the Interior Department says other past incidents like gunfire in 2019, $175,000 worth of vandalism in 2023, juvenile fights in 2024, those are all contributing to the decision to close. Here's the general managers at Annie's Paramount Steakhouse on 17th Street, which has been a gathering place for the LGBTQ community for decades.
Annie was my great aunt, and she was the original, we like to call her the original ally. She just was super ahead of her time, and she just was really non-judgmental and really held out her hand to the community and said, you're welcome here and I love you. I know it's disappointing, but I think from what I understand, there's been some damage to the fountain over the years. And I think that, it's worth preserving that beautiful architecture as well. And so, I hope that the celebrations stay, really positive and safe.
So for years, the Pride Parade passed through Dupont. Now the route starts at 14th and T in Northwest, heads down Pennsylvania Avenue. Starts at 3 on Saturday, of course, all day long. There's a huge block party on Sunday from noon to 10 at night. The Capitol Pride Festival and concert is taking over Pennsylvania Avenue, headlined by Maren Morris. There's a lot of excitement around all this. Now, I'm told people in the neighborhood had also planned to have Juneteenth celebrations in Dupont, as well as watch the World Cup there this weekend, along with all the Pride festivities. Obviously, with the fencing up, that is no longer an option. The National Park Service says the barriers will stay up. Dupont will stay closed through Sunday night. Marina, Jim.
Homa, thank you. Iran announcing nuclear talks with the U.S. will be rescheduled after they pulled out of planned negotiations in Switzerland.
Tehran blaming fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Fox's Rebecca Castor explains what happens next.
These Israeli strikes on Hezbollah targets across southern Lebanon almost ended nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran before they even started. The first round of negotiations in Switzerland was postponed, but with all parties agreeing to a new ceasefire, Tehran says talks will be rescheduled in the coming days.
It's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy. But I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good.
President Donald Trump reportedly called Israeli leaders Friday, urging them to back off on the strikes in Lebanon. It comes after this warning from Vice President J.D. Vance to Israeli officials criticizing the peace deal.
If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
But many lawmakers on Capitol Hill from both parties aren't impressed with the initial agreement either. On paper, Iran says it won't pursue a nuclear weapon, but there's currently no enforcement provision, something U.S. officials will try to get into the final deal.
The MOU has so many holes and gaps. It puts Iran in a much stronger position than before this war.
I believe if the Ayatollah acquired a nuclear weapon, the odds are unacceptably high the Ayatollah would use that nuclear weapon, and I don't want to wake up and see hundreds of thousands of Americans murdered in a flash of an eye.
If the U.S. and Iran fail to reach a final nuclear deal in 60 days, sanctions relief and reconstruction aid would be off the table, and military action would likely resume. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Most polling showing that most Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of Iran, even as his overall approval rating remains unchanged. The AP North survey finding that more than half of Americans believe U.S. military action against Iran has gone too far. Just 34% approve of Trump's handling of Israel. Opinions remain sharply divided along party lines, with Republicans far more supportive of his approach than Democrats or independents.
Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth is urging the FAA to reject any pressure from President Trump as it reviews his proposed 250-foot arch near Arlington National Cemetery. The Democrat and former Army pilot is raising concerns about the project's proximity to DCA and whether the review process is being fast-tracked. The FAA claims a preliminary study found no impact on airport operations, but a full review is still ahead. Bill Pulte, a man with no intelligence experience, is now the nation's acting director of national intelligence. He is overseeing 18 U.S. spy agencies while keeping his post as the Federal Housing Finance Agency director. President Trump's pick as the next DNI, Jay Clayton, remains in limbo after the Senate postponed a confirmation hearing. The president wants to tie his nomination and that subsequent vote to passing the so-called Save America Act.
All right, let's get you a live look outside right now from our sky cam at the Stacks. A beautiful day at that, and much warmer than we've seen earlier this week.
I've seen a lot of boats on the water, too, on a day like this. A lot of people have the day off because of the holiday, but we don't, because we're working for you here at Fox 5. Mike Thomas here with the first check of the forecast at 5.
Yeah, I'm jealous, although I do see the water, like behind you there, that National Harbor shot, choppy a little bit as the winds have been blowing a bit this afternoon. That is some drier air starting to work its way in. You had the humidity the first half of the day, but that will be improving as the day goes on. Sun-filled sky cams after we did have some rain kind of overnight last night and into this morning in parts of the region. Not everybody. That's Rockville behind me, or Gaithersburg, I should say. Camera looking out over a green scene and traffic running smooth on 270 there. DC, 85 degrees right now. Dulles at 82. BWI Thurgood Marshall, 83 degrees. There's where your rain fell this morning. Very light along the I-95 corridor and was over pretty quickly. It was down southern Maryland, lower eastern shore. A little heavier down that way. Also has been long gone now as what's left of Arthur moves its way off the coastline and just sun-filled skies taking over. And that should last right through most of the weekend as you see quieter conditions back out through the Midwest. So evening planner tonight, warm night, but nice night. Temperatures falling slowly through the 80s and 70s, but no threat for rain from this point forward. And that includes tomorrow, 86 degrees. Sunday, Father's Day, first day of summer. Going to feel like at 89 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Next chance of rainfall here in D.C. comes Monday. We'll talk more about that in just a bit here. Jim?
2 people hurt when a panel outside of the Lincoln Memorial fell over. That sign was near the bottom of the steps next to the reflecting pool. The panel fell down around noon, hitting the 2 visitors, but we're not getting any information about the sign or how it fell over in the first place.
All right, this is a Fox 5 news alert. As you can see, a fire there in a dumpster at an apartment complex near the cross streets of C and 51st Street in Southeast. Smoke could be seen for miles. DC Fire and EMS say they put out the fire. No one was injured. No word on the cause. We're going to Fairfax County tonight, where police are investigating what they call an unprecedented number of pedestrian fatalities over the past 2 days.
4 people killed, at least 1 other injured. Bob Barnard's along Richmond Highway in Alexandria. He has the story tonight. Bob?
Yeah, guys, one veteran Fairfax County police official says he's never seen anything like it. 4 pedestrians, all of them men, killed on county roadways in just over 24 hours late this week. Now, we put a map together to show you the different locations where these pedestrians were killed, starting at 1:45 a.m. yesterday here along Richmond Highway near Fort Hunt Road. The others at 7:30 p.m. last night near 7 Corners, 10 o'clock last night on Gallows Road in Merrifield, and around 5 o'clock this morning on Little River Turnpike in Lincolnia. That driver charged with DUI. Police say 3 of the pedestrians killed in that short period of time were not in crosswalks. The victim in a collision on Leesburg Pike last night was actually on a sidewalk when he was struck and killed. The 64-year-old man killed here on Richmond Highway early Thursday morning was struck by 2 cars. One stayed on the scene, the other left, but was later tracked down by police.
While these are still under investigation, pretty clearly our crash reconstruction unit detectives can figure out how these happen. And I can tell you excessive speed impaired both drivers and walkers, pedestrians across the roadway, and not using the walkway with the walkway controls in their favor.
Now, this is a photo of a Fairfax County police cruiser that got rear-ended while stopping at a crash scene on Route 1 here around dawn this morning. The officer was injured. The driver of the other car was cited. Fairfax County police out in force in this area this afternoon, handing out pamphlets to pedestrians and drivers, hoping to change behaviors and cut down on all types of crashes.
It's a lot easier to cut right across the street here, but it can have deadly consequences. Walk a little bit further. Steps are good for all of us, and do it safely. And I tell you, pedestrians, when I cross the street, I try to make eye contact with the driver.
Now, Deputy Chief Dalton Becker says investigators are waiting for toxicology reports on some of the drivers involved in those fatal pedestrian crashes, and that perhaps more charges and citations are coming. Guys.
Fox 5 Montgomery County, where leaders are proposing a bill that would bar former ICE or Border Patrol employees from holding certain county jobs. The measure would apply to public-facing or resource allocation positions if they work for Homeland Security after October of 2025. Earlier this month, new county laws took effect, banning most law enforcement officers from wearing masks on duty and requiring them to go stricter on hiring background checks. A public hearing is set for July 14th.